What's something incompetent people ruined? Driving. At least 1/3 of people on the road should not be allowed behind the wheel. Historic landmarks. Sign: don't touch the irreplaceable 2,000-year-old monument. Tourist engraves initials into a replaceable 2,000-year-old monument. We have like one historic landmark in our small town, and a few weeks ago some drunk moron permanently ruined it by spray painting his initials on it. It's a 2,000-year-old rock covered in petroglyphs, and it took some meth head from Florida less than 5 minutes to ruin it. From Florida, we had a meth head burn down a 3,500-year-old tree about 3 years back. It was the 5th oldest tree in the world, and it took one douche to turn over 3 millennia's worth of life into ashes. She didn't just spark up near the tree. She went inside the fucking tree to spark up. Helicopter parents ruined so much shit. When I was a kid, we rode bikes, we built forts, we played in the woods. Now kids aren't allowed out of the house without a fucking homing beacon and a GoPro live streaming to their parents' iPhone. One of my girlfriends was in her house making dinner, while her 2 kids were outside playing in her front yard. I shit you not, her next door neighbor comes banging on her door. My friend obviously thought something was wrong with the kids, but no. The neighbor apparently asked her if she even knew her kids were outside, and then told her it wasn't safe for them to be in the yard, and if she saw it again she might have to take action. My friend told her to get the fuck off her porch and mind her own goddamn business. Never would have believed it if it hadn't happened to her. The microwave at work. Someone set the time for 14 minutes on high and didn't think to put anything inside the machine. It resulted in a horrible smelling meltdown and destroyed it. Fireworks. So many different cool fireworks have been banned because of morons throwing them at each other's faces. Chemistry sets for kids. They used to have fun stuff that could hurt you if used incorrectly. Now they have color-changing reactions and litmus paper, no explosions or fire. Airport security. Homeland Security. Fascist sounding as fuck, and the TSA have made an absolute shit show of airport security in the US. It is security theater at its finest, illogical, incompetent, and not to mention, inconsistent. Run by people with, maybe, high school degrees and combined with inflexible airline policies, many of which are fostered by the same groups, has entirely too much power to fuck up your carefully planned vacations and business trips. The incompetence is breathtaking. Here's the thing, we're only as safe as our least safe airport. I am originally from Chicago. O'Hare Airport takes their security pretty seriously. They check inside bags, remove items, etc. most of the time. But I used to live in rural Texas. Flew out of the Harlingen Airport regularly, and they don't give a fuck down there. I remember a flight I took from TX to IO where I had a bunch of books in my bag. In the Texas airport, no big deal. In the Chicago airport, they removed everything from my bag and checked everything for explosive residue with their fancy machine. All some crazy ass hat needs to do is to enter the air travel system from some tiny airport, and we're all fucked. It's so stupid. They need to standardize the system across all airports, or else what the hell is the point? Part of the problem is that it is practically impossible to properly deal with terrorism. The very nature of terrorism is that they have the ability to make the first move every time, meaning that no matter what your system is, given enough time, a terrorist can bypass it. But people don't accept the answer. We can never be safe from terrorists. No matter what we do, there will always be a chance that a terrorist comes up with a plan we didn't, and pulls it off. And so the answer we get is, with more surveillance, more security, and more loss of freedoms, we can be safe, which is a lot more comforting. Every process at my job. We've got fences, sensors, marker checks, double checks, triple checks, extra paperwork to sign saying we did it right. And yet people still seem to ship incomplete parts to our customer. They're probably all too busy doing this dumb paperwork. There was an NPR story recently about how electronic health record systems were supposed to save lives by giving error messages whenever out of the ordinary medical orders were given. However, nothing improved. Doctors just exit out of all the pop-ups and don't read them because they happen so frequently. They can't do their job. Basically, if there are 20 checks on your job, they aren't seen as helping you, they are seen as just extra bullshit you have to do. Extra paperwork doesn't help anything get done faster or better. I don't even own one, but I've heard it enough times. Drones, quadcopters. I got a tiny one and it's enough trouble trying to fly it indoors. No fans on, no climate control on. All doors and windows need to be shut for best results. You will have your idiots who fail to realize, even though they're a great pilot, these things do fail and fly over populated areas. Then you have your idiots who take their maiden flight in a crowded area. Or even worse, the hotshot idiot who wants buzz right over your head with exposed carbon blades spinning at fuck you up speeds with powerful brushless motors. I can see why they want to have people register these things. They need to have insurance and proper training for them for those that fly around people and overpopulated areas, as well as serious fines for those who break the rules. Self-checkout. It's supposed to be a quick alternative to waiting in line for when you're only buying up to a maximum of 10 or so items. It's so foolproof. All you have to do is scan or code in your items, place them on the platform, pay, and leave. Yet, every time I buy groceries, I'm haunted by a chorus of, "Please wait for assistance," as dumb fucks haul their cart full of produce to the self-checkout and take 3 hours to undergo a process that at most would take 3 minutes with the clerk. Games. Hear me out here. Games used to be where you just pay for the game and play it. You'd play it single player, maybe multiplayer, depending. Now, so many new games are multiplayer cash grabs that amount to, "Oh, you want to win? Just pay this small fee and you can have X advantage for X amount of time." This is becoming more and more accepted, and it's at the point where people have boasted to me about a new game that has no microtransactions. That's how games are supposed to be. Legitimate access to certain medicines. A few idiots sold their Xanax or Vicodin, and now doctors and the DA are horrified of anyone getting them. Apparently, it's now common for the doctors who will actually prescribe them to order drug tests of the people they're prescribed to make sure they're actually taking them at all. That is ridiculous to me. Mexico City, in the pre-colonized days. When the Spanish arrived, it must have looked so cool to see such a marvel. And then they burned it to the ground in the name of God or Spain, I can't remember which. Because of their pride and idiocy, we lost a historical marvel, a full city that had developed completely without European influence. When I went to Peru to do the tourist thing, all the tours of historical pre-European locations and artifacts were full of, "The Spanish wrecked this because it wasn't Jesus enough for them," and "The Spanish wrecked this because they thought for some reason it had gold in it." Lawn darts, the good ones with the pointy metal tips. Fun fact, they were banned because one guy pushed for their ban for years after his daughter was killed by them. The death was an accident, and was caused when his son and friends found some in the garage. He didn't even plan on buying them. They came bundled with a volleyball net he wanted to buy, and threw them around the yard. One sailed too high, and went over the fence, and struck his daughter in the head. The way teachers act. All the safety regulations and shit. In grade 9, our science teacher walked into the room, set down his bag, and was about to start talking. He catches the eye of my friend next to me, who was essentially the class clown, always disrupting things and being an ass. My friend was sitting up straight, grinning like an a-hole with his hands clenched in front of him on the desk. The teacher sighed and said, "___________, just get out. Seriously, go walk around in the hallway." None of us said anything, as those were more normal times and we realized the teacher didn't have to deal with a moron trying to unsettle a teacher. My friend refused, so he walked over, grabbed him by the collar, threw him outside, and closed the door. Then we learned about chemistry. Today, Jesus, there would be a full-blown investigation over child abuse. This was in the early 2000s, for the record. I'm studying to become a certified teacher right now, and the amount of rules and regulations that get drilled into our heads is insane. My work efficiency, every day. People with nothing better to do, finding ways to make easy things more difficult. Having children. There should really be some kind of paperwork to fill out. Anyone can just go and make a baby, but adopting a child seems like such a lengthy, rigorous process. I know it couldn't be implemented, but there needs to be some sort of test or qualifications you have to pass to have a kid. For one, people having kids who can't even afford to support themselves, then having to collect money from the government because they made a stupid decision. Some people are not mentally fit to be parents. There's shitty people who are going to raise shitty kids that turn into shitty adults. You have to have a license to hunt, drive a car, catch a fish, but they'll let any moron reproduce. What's something incompetent people ruined? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.